Things Musicians Don't Talk About is supported by the Royal Society of Musicians. Since 1738, they have been providing vital financial assistance, advice, and guidance to music professionals unable to work due to accident, illness, stress, or anxiety. Whether you're working as a performer, administrator, technician, or teacher, and everything in between, they're there to help. If you know of someone in need, you can contact them in confidence by visiting their website, which is www.rsmgb.org, or you can contact them by ringing 020 7629 6137. Support their work by becoming a member or donating today.
We are really honoured today to be joined by Ophelia Gordon, a pianist and really wonderful open human that we've come across and have just so much delight in introducing to the podcast, because you got in touch willing to share your story with an eating disorder at the exact time that we were commiserating on how little this seems to be an issue that is discussed within music. Can you introduce yourself a bit further than that, maybe, and give us an idea of why you decided to get in touch?
Yeah. So, well, thank you for having me.
Such a pleasure, honestly.
I'm really happy to be here. So where do I start? I'll start maybe with how I just came across you to begin with, and then I can talk about my background and everything. So I'm a pianist, born and raised in South London. I played lots of different instruments growing up, but now I'm really specialising in piano. And I'm releasing an album and doing a master's and doing all this kind of really fun stuff. So on my master's course, I'm doing psychology of performance. And the lecturer mentioned eating disorders. And I had never, ever spoken about this, like, to anyone professionally, or like anyone in an institution never kind of reached out and actually had a discussion about eating disorders. So when she said it in the class, I was like, okay, this is interesting. She's mentioned this, and I obviously responded immediately. And she said, everyone has to choose a topic to do your project on. And I thought, it'd be really brave of me if I chose eating disorders to do a presentation on, and I'd never spoken about it. I had actually just finished, maybe 6 months before, finished a treatment program with the NHS. But I thought, okay, this will be like a really personal challenge for me if I can actually stand up and be like, I had an eating disorder, I've researched it, and this is what I found. So I decided to do it. And then when I was researching, I came across you guys, and I was like, oh my God, there's actually like a whole series in the classical industry, not just classical, but like in the music industry, that talk about this. And that was just so strange, because nowhere talks about it. And I thought, oh my God, maybe this is a good idea, and maybe I should follow up with this and just see what happens. So now I'm here, talking about it.
That was one of the things that made us most concerned, is that we come up, we know that we're worried when we come up as the primary resource on something, because we're not resource makers. We're just people who share other resources. So alarming when that happens. It was
crazy how much little there was. There are a few research projects that have happened over the last 5 years that talk about the facts within classical music and how many people have eating disorders, or a history. And I think there's only maybe 2 main ones, and that's it. And it's but there's actually so much history even before that, Karen Carpenter, Amy Winehouse, all these other amazing musicians that have obviously had eating disorders, but nobody has really done anything about it,
or really publicly that they've had them as well.
It just becomes part of their identity. And there's no kind of hang on a minute, we need to talk about this, there's obviously something wrong. It actually becomes a selling point for them. So
when you did get in touch, did you feel why did you feel it was the right time, I guess, to talk about this now?
I think because I'd had a treatment program, and that was the first time I'd ever spoken about it, I knew in myself that actually if I talk about it, I will heal even more, and it will lose its power. Like every time I might just share very briefly with somebody what any of my experiences, not even just with eating, but anything that I've experienced in life, it almost like, okay, like feel just a bit lighter. So although I'm a bit nervous now because this is really like, I'm very on show and I've never spoken about this publicly, like I've never done a post about it or talked to another teacher about it. Like I spoke to my professor about it, but other than that it's like, oh god, like you know, it's quite nerve-wracking that people know, but also that's part of the problem, is that that's the shame that's attached to it, and actually that's not right. You know, and there shouldn't be that. We shouldn't have that fear of saying something that's actually very human. So
I guess taking us backwards, maybe both musically and in terms of when your eating disorder started. First of all, musically, can you tell us when the piano began, or how, like your earlier years?
So I started piano like since I was born, pretty much. My mum is a pianist. My granddad played the piano. My great-granddad was a concert pianist from Paris. So I've had this like quite a big musical like lineage in my family anyway. So I started playing the piano and then picked up the guitar, the violin, bit of trumpet, double bass. And then so I went to a specialist Catholic girls, a specialist music Catholic girls school in Croydon called Coloma. It's not music specialist anymore, but when I was there it was a really nice school. And then I went to the BRIT School for 2 years, and then like started to focus a bit more on classical guitar. So yes, tried to stick with that for a bit. I auditioned for 5 conservatoires at that time and didn't get into any of them as a classical guitarist, and that was really hard. And then decided to go to uni. I went to Durham for a year and then transferred, and I'll talk about what all happened, but transferred to London. And then when I finished my degree, all my work was in piano. Like I just kind of walked straight into full-time piano teaching. And that was, when did that? 2013. So from 2013 to about a year ago, I was just teaching piano like constantly, trying to perform, trying to do competitions, like bits and bobs. And then 2 years ago, my life just like changed quite dramatically and has kind of led me on this journey that I'm here now, and actually talking about a lot that I probably should have talked about before. So yeah, and then your other question about maybe how the eating came in. So I was at the BRIT School and I was in my second year. At home there was quite a lot going on. My parents were getting divorced. My mum had a bit of a drinking problem. I got into a very awful situation that was heavily abusive with a boy, and I started losing weight and developed anorexia, basically. That was very weird because you could see that maybe there were other girls that were probably experiencing similar things, but you kind of just like you just carry on and you're just trying to figure it out, and people might say, oh, are you okay? But nothing ever really gets done. And then I went to uni, I went to Durham, and I had to transfer because I just had totally kind of lost control of it and I was severely unhappy. And then transferred back to London. I got a bit better, put on a bit more weight, and kind of just got a bit more stable. But yeah, so music has always been a part of my life, and it's interesting now kind of like talking about the music culture and eating disorders within that, because for me the eating disorder didn't necessarily come because of the music. It was like my life was happening and I happened to be a musician. And so, yeah, so 2 years ago, I got married in 2021 and then we separated. So I met him when I was 18. So I need to give you enough kind of context. Met him when I was 18. We were together up until 2 years ago. We got married in 2021. And then we separated in 2023, and my eating got triggered again. And then that's when my doctor was like, would you like to try a treatment program? Because I'd never had one when I was younger. I just kind of like managed to gain a bit more weight and just kind of steady myself through. You know, I wasn't like a concern as much anymore. And then they were like, you can do like a group program with the NHS called Mantra, which was actually very, very good. And that was when I was like, oh my God, there's actually other women who feel exactly the same way as me. And we all kind of share similar thoughts, and we all had the same words and everything. That was really amazing. But yeah, it's been an interesting couple of years, and now reflecting on my eating and how like my career is starting to change, it's like I think I'm in a position where actually I can talk about this and actually want to talk about it, and not just eating, but like things that happen in your life that are shit, you know, and can be really difficult. But I'm still expected to turn up at masterclasses and lessons and not say anything. But I've literally gone through the most awful, traumatic divorce. Like, it's just been horrific. But there's this kind of weird, like I was doing a concert like last week, and the teacher turned to me and was like, are you okay? And I don't know, I think I just like, it's just been a heavy week, you know, when you've just been like spiraling a bit and whatever. And I felt like just going to him, well, no, because, you know, I'm going through life and this is what it is. But still there's kind of, I was like, no, I'm fine, I'm just tired, you know. And it's like, but actually musicians have lives that can be really difficult. And why are we not saying, why am I not sharing these things? Or like, why do I feel like I can't, when my music is actually a reflection of what's happening in my life? So
out of all the spaces that you kind of work and study and exist in, is there one in particular that you feel the most like silenced?
Maybe work.
Performing, like concert to concert. I feel actually when I perform, that's my power. You know, like I'm like, no, I have earned my place to be here, and you can go if you don't like it, but like this is my stage right now. So just you know, it's almost like I can be what I want to be in that moment. Whereas like I think in a work setting it's harder because you have to be professional, like whatever that means, you know. And it's like, although workplaces they say that they're, you know, all about well-being, there's not always like a counselling service at where you work, or they just like, okay, like, you know, there's not actually that support.
And is this work in terms of teaching or?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'm very lucky with what I do, and you know, I'm very grateful for everything that I do. But I'm starting to feel a bit like I just want to stand up and just shout out in the middle of the canteen, like, this is what happened, and it's not okay, and you know, like, someone hello, like life is happening, but nobody kind of gives you any space to talk about what happens in your life.
I think it's been perpetuated as well by the stories we've heard about classical musicians for so long.
Yeah,
it has been there's been a pressure to kind of focus purely on analysing a score, or you know, talking about your album, which is really interesting. Like, I'm interested in your album because of hearing about your eating disorder, and I'm interested in like how I've made that connection. I'm like excited to hear it because I now know more about you as a person.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I'm pleased.
But I think we don't really think about that much, about actually how that can provide like a good press even for some,
like a deeper connection to it. So the music is this composer called Kapustin, who's like a jazz classical fusion Soviet composer, And I discovered him in 2022. So it was like just before I separated. And the separation was so traumatic. I lost everything I had, like my flat, my cats, all my possessions, my car, everything. And I moved back to my mum's, and we have a piano there, and all I could play was Kapustin. Like, I couldn't do anything else other than play that music. So it's like, it was like, it kept me alive, basically. I know that's like really, people might be thinking, oh God,
no,
that's
I know
so
that,
like dramatic,
I know that feeling.
But it's like,
yeah.
I'd lost some weight. This awful thing was happening. I started playing his music, and then every summer I go to Chetham's International Piano Summer School, and I was doing like a normal record, like a private recording. And the engineer works for this record label called Divine Arts Recording, and he heard these Kapustin pieces because I was playing them, and he was like, "You've got to do an album of this music." And I was like, "An album?" I was like, "That's quite a lot of Kapustin." Like I've only learned 3 pieces. I was like, how much is an album? And he was like, "Oh, at least like 60 something, 70 minutes or something." And I was like, that's quite a lot. But I was like, oh my God, that's literally going to save me. Because I'd been playing so much already, and I was so in love with his music. And then it was after that where I decided, okay, I never went to music college. I always wanted to go, literally from a little girl, I'd always wanted to go to music college. And I carried so much shame about not going. When classical musicians or like people at concerts, oh, where did you study? It's always like, where did you go? Who did you study with? I was always like, no, I didn't go to college. I didn't go to music college. I went to nice universities. So I'd always carried that on my shoulder. And I thought, okay, maybe I should go and do a master's in the piano, because actually I needed those years of just like me, and just me in a room with a piano just playing. And like, I'm not there really to kind of like join in with the game of what everyone else is doing, or like compete in any way. Like I can almost see it now as well. Like if I had gone when I was younger, I probably would have got quite swept up into it. But now I'm kind of like, oh, okay, I can see this culture, but it's exactly where I need to be. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I don't know if anything I ever say makes sense.
Oh, it makes a lot of sense.
Are
you sure?
I feel like you're almost, without the piano and so much of it, you're almost speaking my story exactly. That like,
oh my God, wow.
My eating disorder also started when I was at like a specialist music school, and like it wasn't directly like prompted by being a musician. Yeah. It's been made worse in some ways by being a musician.
Okay.
But like has run alongside it and actually really hindered my career. Yeah. My progress, like my ability to like socialize and network and do all those things. Like it's really put like a block on so much that I would have really enjoyed doing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it totally makes sense.
Yeah.
How do you see your eating disorder as having affected maybe your life trajectory, or like, I don't want to be like, just box you into like a career, but like your music?
Yeah. So as I said, like my eating disorder was really prevalent when I was a guitarist. And like when the label offered me the recording contract, I think they were kind of like, yeah, of course. And I was like, well, no, I'm quite surprised that you're asking me, because I've never felt like I would ever do something like this. Like I would ever be in a position where I'd be playing this type of music, or like been taken really seriously as a musician. Like I have had some awful like abusive experiences with teachers. Like I know loads of people have, but like there was one teacher, I won't say her name.
We don't want to get sued either.
No. Let's be like slightly like reserved. But I did a masterclass, and I said to her, "Oh, I'm sorry. Just in advance. Like I'm still learning this Beethoven piece. Just letting you know in advance, it's not great. It's going to be a bit of a mess." And she just looked at me and went, "Well, you're far too pretty to make a mess." And I was like, "What? That's a bit." I was like wearing a short skirt and everything, and I was like, "Why do I feel really uncomfortable?" And then I played, And she turned to me and she went, well, you weren't joking. She was like, you have no respect, no soul. I don't even know why you're playing.
Oh.
And literally, I'm like, I literally just kind of like freeze. And that to me is almost like, oh my God, this is just so awful. And this wasn't a masterclass. There were other people there. And I just had to get through the rest of the hour, just like sat there, like without my bottom lip, like, you know, my bottom lip wobbling and like, don't cry. Like, you'll get through it. And
was there an audience as well?
Yeah. Jeez. Not huge, but like still maybe like 10 people. But it was the whole kind of like, I was so excited to play to her. And then that happened. And with someone who had struggled with an eating disorder, when someone comments on the way that you look and ties that, like almost sets up this kind of like expectation of you, or like has just comments on it in general, you're like, that's actually affected me maybe more than what she thought.
You know, if someone's tying like prettiness to success, and then you mess up, as you said you would, then you're like, am I like, I'm questioning my like capabilities now. Am I also questioning my appearance and like the connection between, like, it really just throws everything. It's just so unnecessary, so brutal, in front of other people, and then having to like sustain some sort of
composure. And then I had to go back again the next day, and I was literally like, you've completely misunderstood me. Like I thought to myself, how can I get through this, because I don't want to back out, like because the thing about me with my music is that like people don't know what my life has been like and what music has been for me, and no matter what any teacher says, they will never ever take that from me. Like that connection that I have, like it has saved me. So it's almost like, do your worst, because you'll never stop me playing. So
I don't think I've ever heard anyone say that. I like
really?
that a lot.
I feel like I
wish I had that.
Yeah, I definitely have
but
not
you
had
know
that.
I have to go through the trenches to do that. Like I have to like be so like, you know, like it's taken me to the point of having an eating disorder, like experiencing the lowest points, to be like, this music is mine. And actually, no matter how much what's the word, you know, like protectiveness you put, it's a load of rubbish, quite frankly, because that's mine as well as yours. It's everyone's to enjoy. So it's almost like you have to go through those awful experiences, and it's like, how can I not let this? I'm not going to let them take it from me.
I'm really curious about how about why you feel an eating disorder has been something that's been so present in your life in sort of times of adversity. Do you have a sense now of going through therapy and just reflecting of why you think for you that's the way? What did it give you, I guess?
So I started therapy for the first time when I separated, like literally the day of. Whoa. Because it was so traumatic what happened. I was like, I need to go to a therapist immediately. And it was like the best thing I'd ever done. And then I continued kind of like private therapy alongside the group stuff, and then just stick with the group. And then I've even had therapy at college, and, you know, I kind of like try to see where it's available. And depending on what I feel like I need to kind of talk about, I might look at like a specialist in that type of thing. The symptom of having an eating disorder has come around when I've been very vulnerable, or something personally has happened in my life, and it's like you just feel completely unloved and unworthy. And it's like, for me, it was like, if I can do this, then maybe I'll feel better.
Like a success, like it will give me some sort of achievement.
Yeah, like a control, isn't it? You know, and it's like you don't even really realise that you're doing it. Like it just kind of happens, and then you realise, and then it's only like it takes other people to kind of tell you. Well, that's what happened when I was younger anyway, because it was like, so it had almost become like so embedded it was like, oh shit, okay, like she needs some help. But I think I'm very in tune with my emotion as a person. So like when something happens, I really feel it very intensely. So it's like any type of trauma, it's so overwhelming to me, and it's kind of just like a reaction, isn't it? It's like a coping mechanism, I suppose.
For those years when you'd come back to London from Durham, and you said you hadn't actually had any therapy, and you hadn't had any sort of real treatment for your eating disorder, would you describe it as you were still in it, do you think?
Probably, yeah. Like,
what does it look like to be like functioning for so long, or like barely functioning with an eating disorder? Because it sounds like a lot of your life it has been kind of like that.
So my soon-to-be ex-husband was in charge of all the food, like all the cooking. I never cooked at all. It's funny, when you did the podcast with Lauren, she talked about the fact that she'd never cooked, and I was like, yeah,
same with me.
I'm still just getting more comfortable with it. And with my ex, it was like, I think he knew that there was an issue when we first got together, but it was never something we really talked about. It was just almost like a pattern that we fell into of like, I'll do the homey stuff and you do the cooking because I'm nervous to cook a meal, or I don't know if I've bought the right things or how to do it. So with that, I kind of maintained like quite a normal diet, like, and I was like kind of the same weight I am now, just kind of like the size I am is the size I am naturally. And then so that was 12 years, 11 years. And then because of the separation and I started to lose weight, and to be fair to anyone that has also gone through that, you probably lose weight anyway because it's so stressful. Like, it's not necessarily an eating disorder, but I knew that because I had a history of it and I'd never received any real treatment for it. And then when my doctor was like, would you like to try some? I was like, yes, just somebody get me. I just need some help with something, or help with what I'm going through right now, a safe space to talk. And actually, what was amazing is that the other women in the treatment program had gone through almost identical separation experiences that I had gone through. And I was like, oh my God, like this stuff happens. And it's like still nobody really talks about it until you are maybe in the room with other people that are willing to share.
But isn't it funny that, like, so when I've been stressed previously, well, there was kind of like a flip point where, like, when I was stressed before that point, I would lose weight. But then after I basically transitioned from anorexia into like bulimia and binge eating, that like it would be that I would gain weight when I was stressed. But both sides of that spectrum, nobody talks about it. Like, there's so much shame.
Yeah.
And I'm really interested to hear about like what the inpatient experience was like for you.
I thought it was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I was really nervous before it started, and I said to the doctor, or like the psychiatrist who, kind of interviews you before it starts, I was like, I'm coming to the first one, I'll see how I get on, but then after that I was like, I feel a bit better. And then actually just hearing the other women speak, and the way the doctors are with you, and it's like, we just talk, like a lot of the wording and everything was so beautiful, and it's like even the word anorexia is like, ooh, like it's quite intimidating. And I said that to the psychiatrist, they kind of like giggle, because they're like, for them they don't see it as this like, oh, this monster, but for if you've lived with it, it's like, whoa, this horrible monster. And they just talked a lot about like your healthy, flourishing self, and they made us like dress up as our healthy, flourishing self versions, like pretend you're your best version today, like however that looks, just try and wear your favorite color, or and they talked a lot about like the types of thinking patterns that people with eating disorders might have, like really black and white thinking, or like really detail focused thinking. And obviously when you're a classical musician, it's so detail focused. Like I'm like, okay, this makes sense. Like, I'm learning about myself and the type of character that I am. Yeah, I'd recommend it to everyone. Like, I thought it was amazing. And like, I would do it again. And actually, they've been like, if you need to come back, you can come back. But the NHS is so overrun and struggling so much. It's like I had to wait for that to start. And, you know, like, I think anyone that is struggling, like, I think it's okay that it feels scary. But for me, it was the best thing I did. And now I'm kind of on this like constant journey of growth, or like I just want to learn more about it, or like connect with more people and talk about it and actually be like, let's cut this crap and like, let's just actually get everything out on the table, especially in the music world. Like, so I'm not worried to tell people this album is happening because I went through a divorce and my whole life like crumbled in front of me. And it's like, if you don't know that, you won't understand why I'm playing. And I'm so connected with what I play. That's why it's happening. And like, you can take what you want from it. Like, yeah.
I certainly haven't heard people in the music industry even talk about divorce as...
No. Well, because they're divorced to other musicians, divorced from other musicians,
Maybe.
right? So it's very much like,
bit too close.
can't like talk about it because they'll have their own posse of people, and also defamation and blah blah blah. I think.
Yeah.
But also it's like a reputation thing, isn't it? That people see any sort of like personal issue as like a minus number against their name.
It's like, we're all humans. Like, I might be having a lesson with a professor who has probably gone through, do you know what I mean? Like,
So common.
It's so common. But it's weird, like, if I share my experience with like a peer, they just kind of like look at me a bit like, like, you know, oh, you'll get over it soon. I'm like,
Are these often younger musicians?
Yeah, they are younger, and it's like that's not them. You know, I think it's just about
with older musicians for me.
I have it with everyone a lot.
Yeah. It's true there, everybody.
Yeah, just see me, see me and sit with me.
A lot of people aren't ready though, aren't they?
I don't think so. Yeah, and it's like, but you're almost like screaming into a void. You're like, can someone just recognise what I'm going through, and I'm still turning up and playing this music, and I'm actually fed up with not saying what's happening in my life, but I'm expected to come and sit here and play perfectly, or it's not fast enough, or like, you forgot to do that, whereas inside I'm going, can we just talk about actually what real life is, because none of this really matters like compared to
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It's interesting what you were saying about like the eating disorder thinking, about how like you're detail focused. And I was also thinking actually, like, for a profession that is supposed to be all about subjectivity and like you know, a spectrum of experiences, it is a lot of the time very black and white.
Yeah.
Like, it's not fast enough, it's wrong,
Yeah.
it's right, it's this, it's that. It's like, why are we so black and white in the music industry where it's literally supposed to be the opposite of that?
Yeah, and these composers that they're so protective over, and how everything needs to be played exactly as they want. But why was that written in the first place? Like, someone like Schumann, for example, who had like severe mental health issues, like, why can't we recognise actually that they were human beings, and you're telling us to be sterile? Like, or play it exactly as he would. I don't think he really would have cared, to be honest. Like Kapustin, I've researched Kapustin so much. He's even said, play my music however you want.
King.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, I
Will
want to
do.
play it like how I want. Yeah, how I feel I want to play it. You know, and it's like I am respectful of music. I don't, you know, I don't want people to misinterpret that. But it's like
There's a human there too.
yeah, there was a human on the other side who went through life, who created something. You are allowed to also be a human on the other side, and not be stamped on if you're doing something wrong.
Because I know that we've spoken about the inpatient treatment, but I'm also curious about how you got to that point. What you must have gone to the doctor to seek help. What happened, and what was the thought process behind, I need help about this specific thing, and I am actually, because and I'm sure you've been in that situation, that you're not actually willing to change because there's part of you that wants to stay in the safety of the eating disorder. You don't really want to change because it means gaining weight or changing routine or whatever. What was that point like for you?
I think I had just become so low and so desperate in a way, because I literally, like, as I said, I was kind of like back in my teenage room where my eating disorder had started, and it was like, I need to face some really hard truths now. And like, I was in such a dark place. It was like, I've got no other option now than to just get someone to help me, which is kind of what prompted the therapy. And then my therapist actually suggested maybe you could go to your doctor. And I was like, oh my God, like, how? But my GP was so nice about it as well. She was a woman. I don't know if that made a difference, or I don't know. Like, I felt safe with her, and I also didn't feel pressure. I think that was the difference. That, like, I actually so when I was like 18, I think it was when I'd come back from uni, I went to one appointment with a doctor. But this time around, I think because it was like, although when I was younger, I was experiencing a divorce as a child, which is not a very nice experience anyway. And like, home was really chaotic, and this situation with this boy was like heavily sexually abusive, like really awful. My divorce now is almost like it's all on me. Like, I haven't got necessarily a parent to help me through this because I am the parent. Does that make sense? Like, it's almost like my turn to try to figure out how to get through this, like, because every situation is different. And it was like, maybe my survival mode kicked in, and I was like, I know what I can do now. Whereas before, when I was younger, I didn't have that, like, I didn't take myself to a doctor sort of thing. Like, I had that one appointment. I think it was like set up through my mum or something like that. Whereas this time I was like, I know what I need to do, and I know I need to get help. So that's kind of how I saw it. But again, like, as I said before, I was still like, I'm going to see how it goes. Like, I'll turn up and let me just do that much. And they're like, that's brilliant. Like, the fact that you're already the fact that you're here almost asking for help is already such like a big thing anyway. So
such a huge thing to have done. Like,
do you think?
So many people, I think, just kind of like what you said about when you were younger, you just kind of like gained a bit of weight, kind of muddled through, and then like, you know, go back down again. I think most people I know that have expressed that they've had an eating disorder before, or that I suspect to have had an eating disorder, either people that I was at school with or something, they've just continued that for the rest of their life, and they've never really sought help to heal their relationship with food or exercise or whatever it is. So I think actually taking that big step, just showing up to the first thing, is massive, and the majority of people never do that.
And it's amazing the difference in ages from the people who were in my group, like some much older, and it was like amazing still that they had done it, but they had lived their whole life with this and almost not even realised that it was a problem. I think that's another thing as well, is that so many people actually live with it and don't realise that it is unhealthy eating, and that they could like improve their relationship with it. Like you said as well, I had other friends that were experiencing it as well, and I don't know if they've probably received any help, but like, nobody at that age was, you know, it wasn't something you kind of like openly talked about, although people knew it was happening. It's not like you all sought to get help together. It's like a cultural thing that just happens. Like, I think 90% of the sufferers are women. It's like between 1 and 3 million people in the UK have an eating disorder, and a lot of them, majority are women from age 13 to 25. So it's like, it actually does exist. Like, and as soon as you start the conversation, the shame starts to evaporate from it, and it's just having that like confidence to actually go, this is what I've lived with, and this is who I am, and actually I'm going to stop pretending to be normal.
Do
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have an idea of why we have this silence in music about eating disorders?
Maybe from the birth of like virtuosity. So like the kind of the late 1700s, 1800s is kind of like when the virtuoso came, and it was this idea of like perfection and like being dazzled, and it's like society started to put classical music on this pedestal of like it's elite, and like they are godly people who are perfect people, and it's like they're prodigies in some way, but they're also humans, but somehow in culture. And actually I think what's interesting is that the popular music is very different. Like we were talking before, like Karen Carpenter, Amy Winehouse, Lady Gaga, like quite a lot of top, like huge celebrities have struggled with eating disorders very publicly, and it becomes actually part of why people listen to their music. But in the classical world, it's like you can't possibly have anything wrong with you because you're supposed to be pristine and perfect, and actually the more perfect you are, the better. But that's not real or correct or sustainable or actually reality at all. And it's happened, I don't really know, like you could do a whole PhD on it, do you know what I mean? Like you could
somebody please
you could really like research into it. Part of my psychology of performance, we talked about perfectionism and like how unhealthy it is, and that still exists and it's still breeding. And obviously part of eating disorder is kind of connected with that, like I need to achieve this thing, or I need to have some sort of control to be perfect in some, however that looks.
Do you think maybe there's some level of eating disorders or some level of disordered eating among so many musicians?
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
That if we are to address it and name it, then that means so many people are going to have to address their relationship with food. And it's something that could be incredibly comfortable as a maladaptive coping mechanism.
I just think that like we have such a misunderstanding of what constitutes disordered eating that, I mean, across society, I think it's very normalised, let alone when you have this boiling pot of perfectionist, detail-focused people that are also working stupid long hours, often eating like on the go. It's also like very easy to not eat communally when you're a musician.
Yeah.
It's also very easy to like eat in like a more binging fashion because you're eating like late at night with alcohol. Like there's all these, I think, such the circumstances around our eating in the profession means it's very likely, I think, that at some point you'll experience a period of disordered eating.
Yeah. And all the research that I did for that project showed that this exists in the classical world, and workaholic, people as well, like they're study mad people are like, it is actually quite entwined. There was a study in, I think it was Poland, and it was similar to this one that was done at UCL, I think it was, similar, but they've put it with studying, and how it's actually connected with like practice and eating disorders, and like the correlation between the two, and they're so prevalent. And it is like the routine of a musician as well. Like we have these unusual patterns, or like concert day, like can't eat before a concert, and then sometimes after you're like too rushed to even eat as well. So it's like, I'm sure lots of musicians experience that as well.
I also find that it's very hard, as somebody that really like tries to put in place like boundaries around eating and exercise, it's actually quite a problem for me to put those boundaries in place on like a concert day or something, where I go, no, actually I do need to go and have lunch, or I do need to have a break and go and have a snack, or like I don't want to go to the pub as dinner, I want to go and have dinner. That then puts me as an outsider a lot of the time. Not all the time, and actually the majority of the time no, I would say, but sometimes you really have to want to put your neck on the line to say, no, I need to do this, because particularly if you have a history of something that it's just very easy to fall back into.
Boundaries. I love that word now. I'm like, everyone fuck off. Sorry. No, not literally, it's like I never even really knew what a boundary was before I started therapy. And it's like, it's about just being you and telling everyone, this is what I'm doing now, whether you're in it or not. So it's like on concert day, it's like, I need to go and have this to eat, or like, I will be there when I be there, or no, I'm not coming to the pub after because I need to go to bed, because I really value that routine that I have, because it's my well-being. And it's actually about not feeling guilty for that, especially when you're trying to recover from something. It's like, there's so much shame around saying no, and part of the eating disorder is actually neglecting all of your needs, or like not knowing what they are, not knowing how to communicate what you actually need. So it almost speaks through total neglect for yourself. Like you just can't, it's like you end up getting in these like awful situations, like I did really, because I couldn't say no. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, for some people, they don't understand that at all. They're like, I'll do what I want. But for someone who has suffered with an eating disorder, that's actually such a big thing to turn around and be like, no, thank you. Or not even thank you, just like...
Just no.
Yeah, just no, not
just
today.
No.
Like, or never, or just, and I'm still learning actually to do that. It's part of, it's like you still go back and like, oh no, actually, it's like people pleasing as well, isn't it? It's like, oh no, actually, maybe I could do, okay, it won't be that bad. And then I'm like, oh, why did I do this? Like, I actually really didn't want to do this. And it's like dangerous. Yeah.
I'm interested about life after, or I guess as a single person.
Yeah.
Are you still single?
Yeah. Oh my God.
Were you going to say thank God?
I need to be single.
Really?
I need to be single, yeah. I also knew that if I was going to go to music college, I needed to be like really focused just on me and like have really strong blinkers on. But it's a really weird experience going from being with someone for that long to just like, they're just gone and I might never see him again. Like, because we don't have children or anything. And some people have said to me, oh, well, you're really lucky you don't have children. And I'm like, yeah, but those that do, at least if they loved their partner, they get to see them. They haven't died to them. Whereas, like, when there's a complete cut, it is like death, because it's all gone and there's no reason why they probably don't want to contact you. Like, you will never see them again. And the way that this happened as well was so chaotic. It just like, there was nothing. I had to surrender, if that makes sense. Like everything, it was a breakdown essentially. I kind of like went through a breakdown. I'd lost my dad a year before. So there was 2 years before. So there was like, I was vulnerable. I was in a very vulnerable place anyway. And it's like a lot of things happening at the same time that were really big, so you just kind of like grab onto like what you can, and maybe eating came it's almost like not surprising that would happen again, like some sort of relapse.
And in terms of like like romantically or whatever going forward after a divorce, is there a fear there of like opening your heart up again, or are you just kind of completely closed off to that because you're really focusing on yourself?
Like, I can't lie about what happened. Like, I will tell a romantic person, this is what happened, take it or leave it, because like, you've got to know who I am. But at the moment, it's almost like I am really on like high alert anyway for anyone that might be wanting to take advantage of me. Does that make sense? Because that's happened, and there are some really nasty people in the world that prey on women. That's it, like, and I've experienced that, and it's horrific. So I'm like, you have to be discerning, like super discerning, and it's like, I never wanted any of this to happen either, but it's happened, so I just have to navigate it. But like, I also don't want to hide, and I want to just be like, yeah, I'm a human and this happened. Like, I'm not going to sugarcoat it for you. Like, if you can't take it, then go. Like, but also, like, I need to be about me for quite a long time for my own sake. Like, I deserve that, and I owe it to myself after everything that I've been through to be selfish. You know?
So
like,
powerful.
Really powerful.
well, I don't know. It's like I got no other choice. That's how I felt. Like, I literally have no other choice. I guess, like, some people, they probably do jump into relationships quite quickly, or like, but I'm trying to learn about, but what is that need? And like, I need to recognize patterns in myself and be like, I need to be self-sustainable, because I was so dependent on my ex to the point I couldn't even cook and he was cooking for me. It's like, I can't do that again. Like, I need to know how to look after myself properly, because people go, like, parents die, you know, relationships finish, and you're just on your own. So you're like, okay, I need to figure
Know what
out
this looks like.
Yeah,
Oh my
yeah,
God.
and I need to
Yeah.
know how to look after myself, and also like figure out who I am and what I like, and like have a fully pink bedroom, because I can have a fully pink bedroom. So that's kind of, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, you know, I miss my cats. I miss my cats.
I bet you do.
They were like, oh, that's gonna be hard.
We're big cat people.
Yeah,
Very
and they
big
were
cat people.
very young.
Oh,
So I'm like, oh, but you know, it's like, there's a lot of grief, but
I feel like we should probably start to wrap up the conversation, as much as I would love to do this whole nother
Yeah.
series on everything.
I hope I've kept it streamlined as well. Like,
Beautiful.
I do go off.
not really.
You sure?
You're
Yeah.
super succinct.
Okay. Okay. In my mind, I'm like, oh, well, I'm talking about something totally different. Sorry, carry on.
No, not at
Sorry.
all. So to wrap up our episodes, we do a win of the week. Is that what we're going to do this week?
Oh, I'm scared.
Yes.
Unless you want to do.
I can't think of anything else
Something
right now.
else.
I can't do an impromptu quiz. So
Okay.
something kind of smallish or biggish, whatever size-ish you want,
Yeah.
from the past week also,
What day are we?
that
Friday.
you're kind of proud of or feel has been slightly monumental in some way. Do you have anything to start, Hattie?
Of course not.
Classic. I'll start. I finished my teaching job today.
Yes.
After
So long.
suffering through for, not like because of the school or like the students. Honestly, the students were so great and I will really miss them, but just the circumstances in which I've had to keep going to teaching, and just through grief, through
Yeah.
stress, through like almost mental breakdown, I'm just so ready to not do that commute and
Yeah.
have to fit in 30 lessons in the year. So yeah, that's my
That's
win.
amazing.
So
That is
excited.
so amazing.
Yeah.
Can you
Oh,
think of anything?
I can't even think about what day we're Friday.
I know, I'm
We're
struggling.
Friday the 4th of July, Independence Day.
And you know, actually, I'm proud that I set a boundary with a potential student that I was going to maybe flex myself for, to fit their schedule, and I thought, not this time. Actually, I'm not going to do something that I know I will regret.
That's big.
And I said, no, this is when I'm free. You either come or you don't. And I'm like, oh my God, like, I feel guilty. Like, is that, am I allowed to do that? And I was like, no, actually, there's that's a big step.
Did you have an out-of-body experience?
A little bit. I was like, oh,
Who is
ChatGPT,
this?
like, help me. I've deleted it. I've deleted ChatGPT.
Nice.
Needed to be done. But yeah, anyway, I was like, oh God, have I done, like, should I feel guilty about this? But actually, it's like, this is the step towards some reclamation of, like, I don't need to fit everyone else to just, because I'm worried that the work, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm worried they're going to be upset. Like,
who are they? Why do they matter?
Yes, yeah. And also my well-being is
Way
the
more
number
important.
one thing. So
That's huge.
do you think?
Yeah.
So good.
We need to do more of that.
100%. I'll just probably just go with what first comes into my mind, to be honest.
Usually the best one.
I had a really, I don't know if this is a win really, but I had a really nice interview yesterday with a composer, American composer, and he just said at the end how comfortable I made him feel, and it just felt really
That's so
lovely to be
nice.
told that.
Yeah, you do though. You're really good at making people feel safe in interviews.
Thank you. So I don't know, I just felt like, I needed to hear that. And yeah, it just felt like a real win that that he said that and felt the need to tell
That's
me.
really nice.
So yeah.
Amazing.
And I second it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
thank you.
Yeah.
Me too.
It really does look like I just want you to reach out to tell me as well.
It's fine, we get it.
Yeah.
But this has been really wonderful.
Oh,
thank you very
Well,
much.
no, thank you for having me, and I just hope that I've been clear and haven't
Correct.
rambled.
No,
And I did swear
that's
a couple
true.
of times.
So
We
we
swear.
So you can put like a beep if you want to.
Can't be bothered.
absolutely not.
Can't be
No
fucked.
beats, nothing.
Yeah, it's so true. But thank you. It's been really
Thank
nice,
you.
and like I feel liked,
Yay.
which is really important.
Yeah.
So
Your story is
Thank you.
very, very, I was going to say beautiful. It is beautiful. Obviously, it's very,
Messy
it's got a
and-
lot, as
Yeah.
everyone's story does. But it means so much that you've shared and trusted us to share.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being such a gracious host.